Greetings and welcome to Magic with Tamala Farron. Today we're going to discuss something that is very near and dear to my heart, and that's getting prepared for Samhain. Now, a lot of people go to town on decorating. I know I've always done it because I had 6 kids. So bringing in the different decorations to share different aspects of our beliefs taught the kids how to deal with other people and what they did. I remember when my kids were really little, there was a movie with, I can't remember her name. She played Morticia Addams, but she did a movie, it was called Witch. And we rented it not knowing what it was. My daughter at the time was like 6 years old, 7, and we rented it. And it wasn't on 20 minutes, and she was bawling her eyes out. Mama, we're not like this. This is wrong. This is wrong. So I had to get rid of it. I brought it back to the store. That was the end of that. So I talked to my mom about that. I said, how did you describe and then make me understand the way I feel about the images that they put out there? And she said, Tam, when you were little, there was barely anything that didn't show a witch with a green face or warts or menacing looks that would scare most people. And I remember this, but I also remember the perspective of how I looked at it, and I could not understand how she had taught me this. And she said, okay, first of all, what do you see when you look at those? And I said, well, for most of my witchy sisters and brothers, they look at that and they go, that's offensive, this is horrible, this is da-da-da. And I said, I always felt it was representation of the crone, the wise one, the one that shared the experience of their lifetimes. And my mom said, exactly. So every time you see that out in public, every time that you see it in, a movie or a show or what, just sit there and say, it's not negative in that sense. The imagery, just say it's an old lady or an old man that is full of wisdom. The child themselves will take that, and when they look at their grandparents or they look at the neighbors that are elderly, or they're walking down by the river and they see people walking by that are older, that's what they'll click into. If you constantly have your guards up and you constantly say, that's what they did to us, there's going to be a level of hate in there with these kids. These kids are going to grow up thinking that everybody's against them. You want a positive outlook. You want somebody who is going to continue down the road in a positive journey. Taking something that could be construed as real negative and flipping the switch into something that is extremely positive is exactly what you need to teach your kids. It's like shaking off the negative energy and bringing forth a whole lot of positive good. And these kids will continue to bring it on. So, I'm not talking about the negative in the sense of how certain people say witches are bad. I'm not talking about the action wise, I'm talking about the visual. You see it everywhere. And if they say, well, why are their faces green? Because they didn't understand why. They just, it's okay to make fun of an old woman. Is it okay to make fun of anybody? And they'll go, no. Okay, so what do? And they'll say, well, you care, you respect, you learn from. And it's not just because they're old. I mean, you can learn from young people just as much as you can from old people. It's the ability to realize that the crone aspect is one of wisdom. It's the experience. It's the ability to connect and focus. So when you take that and you make it a positive, your kids will continue the ball rolling, so to speak. And it's just tell them, say, if you're going to draw a picture of a witch, draw the face that you think we are. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. And they'll start integrating the different images. When I was a kid, Bewitched was awesome. Samantha was amazing. She was like the first example on TV to be a beautiful, kind-hearted person. Man, that was my family. Kind-hearted, loving, honest, sharing. I adored her. But I will say one thing, where I remember as a child really loving Tabitha and wanting to be just like Tabitha. Then as a mother, really connecting with Samantha. 2 small children. I got it. But right now, I'm totally connecting with Endora. Oh yeah, I love that chick. She is good. And the attitude, oh yeah, spunk all the way. And you know what? It's a lot of fun. Because being older, being spunky, spontaneity, not letting anyone step on you. Oh yeah, I like that deal. So yeah, it's how you represent things for kids. And when they see that, the energy flows. It's really good. One of the things, though, that I love doing is being creative. And from gathering, like, you can gather acorns, you can gather pumpkins, you can gather squash, corn stalks, wheat. Oh my gosh. All different types of harvesty goods. And it all represents the harvest, all represents what we stand for. But some of the things that I like to do is create crafts that I can put away every year and bring out the next year. When the kids were fairly young, I had what I called a Halloween tree. And it was dedicated to the harvest and the ancestors. And we would hang things on it. We would make all sorts of crafts and we would hang stuff. And it was usually a huge branch I brought in from outside and stuck in something. And it was just decorations that represented what we were. I would take rowan berries and make garlands. rose hips and make garlands. Pine cones, acorns, you name it. It didn't have to cost a lot of money, but I would go out and have fun doing it. And I was noticing the other day some stuff, and I thought I'd share with you so that you can share with your kids or your grandkids. Now, at the Dollarama, I don't know if you have that in your area, or Dollar Tree, they've got little wooden ornaments, and they have little ties with them. Now, with these kind of things, you don't have to use markers and paints and everything. If you've got really small kids around, you can use crayons, you can use colored pencils. It doesn't have to be an orange pumpkin, it could be a purple pumpkin. Doesn't matter. And you just let them color, let them enjoy. And once they started doing it, they can just have a blast, color it, put on some really beautiful music, whether it's maybe it's healing frequencies if you want to go that way, or it can be something as simple and decisive as a Halloween list, you know, all the hocus pocus and goofy stuff that we don't like to admit we watch all the time. I am a huge horror fan, so this season is my absolute favorite. I was at one time hand fasted on Samhain. I have a daughter and her boyfriend that's their anniversary. I have my son who is happily married, and him and his husband celebrate as their anniversary is Samhain. It is just crazy how it's just gone down in the family. But as a child, it meant a lot to me. My family, the celebrations, the magic, the whole 9 yards of just enjoying one another and doing things together. You know, having corn on the cob and watermelon and just, you know, salads. And of course it was, for those who are vegan, I apologize, but it was also butchering season. I come from a family of farmers, so sharing different things that were either hunted or it was the season to prepare for winter. So if they were butchering a cow or some pigs or some chickens to put away for the winter, it was a time of family sharing and understanding. There was also gardens that were full force, and everybody, my family, shared off whatever they grew. Everybody tried to, literally in their gardens, they tried to have different things so that when they did share them, it wasn't doubles of what you already had. So where I remember my aunt was fanatical on different kinds of tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers, I had different extensions of the family that would do things like corn or do things like squash and pumpkins and melons and, you know, vegetables. Somebody would do eggplant and turnips and beets and onions, potatoes. And when we would gather, especially if we were going out apple picking or something, everybody would just come over, pick what they wanted, and go home, and they had a pantry full, literally. I can remember my mom canning some of the stuff. I can remember her putting some of it in baskets in the basement to keep for the winter, freezing some. We would turn some of the tomatoes into like spaghetti sauces, and just, oh gosh, there was so many different things, and we had a blast doing it as a family. You don't see that anymore. Seriously, you just don't. People tend to buy everything already made, and there's my pumpkin. You know, they don't realize that there is so much in the old ways in connecting to one another. Another thing that I found, like I said, they've got skulls, they've got pumpkins, they've got ghosts. So cute. And one of the things I absolutely adored that I picked up a bunch of this year especially is wooden skeletons. Isn't he adorable? Oh my gosh. And you can do these up different colors. You don't have to do them up white. You can do these up all different colors. And because they've got this little dewy thing up here, you can either hang them up separately or you can make garlands out of them. I mean, you take a bunch of these and you just put a string through, tie, put another string through, tie, and, you know, all the way around, and then just hang them. And the kids get the sense that, okay, we're doing up skeletons today. What do skeletons represent? What is that? And then you explain, you go on to explaining to them that it's not only ancestral, but it's the spirits that of the season, the thinning of the veil, the connection, the wisdom, the guidance, the, you know, the reverence. You teach them as you go along, like the pumpkins, harvesting, ghosts, people that come by and say hello. They just don't happen to have a body at the time. Well, a physical one. And you just have a lot of fun. You can, like I said, you can use colored pencils, you can use paints, you can use crayons, you can use markers, anything you want. Just work with it, work with them, and it's not just for kids. If you've got a bunch of new people that are gathering that are just getting to know one another, do craft nights. Have them come over, have tea, coffee on, do snacks in the middle of the table, and talk. Get to know one another. And while you're decorating the covenstead, you get to know one another on a level that can only be done in person, can only be done with everybody saying hello and connecting. It's that important. Especially if you're going to work magic together, you need to know each other. You need to trust each other. It's so easy. Hope you're having fun here. Get some ideas. Have a blast. And you know what? Even if you're living on your own and you don't have a lot of friends and you're stuck in the house, take some construction paper. Take some, you know, whatever. Draw some things. Cut them out. Put them up. You don't need to spend a lot of money to feel good about having fun. And that's what some people just don't get. It's not about the money. It's about the emotion, the laughter, the love. It's about being together. It's about being happy. It's about knowing that all you need to do is open your heart and have a little fun. Samhain is definitely about having fun. Because if you take things way too seriously, you miss out on the laughter. You miss out on the joy. What we are about is all about the joy even in the sad moments, even in the grieving moments, even in the I'm alone moments. It's all about being happy and looking within, loving yourself, loving those around you, being grateful. The gratitude is a huge step. Being creative brings all of that. I hope you enjoy life and love and laughter. Please click like and subscribe. And do me a favor, never give up. Never give up. You're worth it. Have a blessed day, as I will it. So mote it be.